Okay, so kicking off the updates, Gemini did receive an update in the way that it works with other platforms. Gemini, and it's going to be called Gemini LTI. It will integrate with Canvas and PowerSchool, Schoology. So you can essentially embed the Gemini app, or you can access the Gemini app from within Canvas and PowerSchool. That's a similar way in which Workspace LTI currently works. So Gemini will also be accessible in those two learning platforms as well. And I kind of think this sort of signifies, how Google is trying to embed Gemini everywhere that Google is available. Obviously, you can see it in Google Workspace if you have licenses, but also in those other connected systems as well. Okay, a very timely update here is updating out-of-office notifications in Google Chat groups. So currently, if you have an out-of-office notification on, you can see that when you email somebody, you get a reply back as the out-of-office. You can also see it in chat messages with individuals, but you can't currently see that in group messages or spaces. So this will update that. So if you put your winter out-of-office notification on, when you are in a chat space or a group message, everybody in that space will see that as well if you are mentioned, or if you send a message to, if you try to send them a message. So that will highlight that. Okay, side update to Google Docs. If you're looking, if you mention or search for a third-party smart chip, so within Google Docs, you can. Let's just go to Google Docs because there's a couple of smart chips updates. If you go to Google Docs and you type in the @ sign, you can see all of these smart chips. And if you have third-party connected apps as well, those would appear here. So now there's an update. You can, if you mention a third-party app, you can directly search for it and install it within Google Docs when you use the @ sign just here. So you can actually search for those third-party apps. There's loads of, I know we mentioned this before, but people obviously overlook some of these just because they're hidden away. There's loads of different smart chips available. And another update that we'll be talking about in just a moment, I'll just mention it now, is coming under building blocks. There's a number of different building blocks just down here. One of them is AI summary. Obviously, we have Gemini connected on this account. But the others are email draft, for example, review tracker, and there is a task tracker coming as well. So currently, you can create a task. So for example, I could create a task here and call it Christmas quiz, and then I can actually assign this to somebody in my organization. So I can assign this to Dan, give it a date of tomorrow. When I assign this as a task, Dan will actually see that on his calendar and in his tasks list as well. Now with the task tracker moving beyond this, and not just seeing a single task, you will see, cancel that, you will see a whole task tracker, and I'll show you the slide on that in a moment, but I just wanted to show you what that looks like, what tasks look like inside of Google Docs. So a couple of updates to come to Google Docs. Gemini has received, the Gemini app has received ISO and HIPAA certifications for both web and mobile. This is only for licensed users. So this is not for the, I believe this is not the free version. You need the Gemini Education or Gemini Education Premium add-on version of Gemini. But it's received these additional certifications, so you can check those out. Again, it just gives end users more peace of mind around security, safety of data, and so on as well. Okay, Gemini, another release was announced this week, and there are several more pre-made gems. So within Gemini, in fact, it might be useful if I just show this window. So when you open up Gemini, you have these pre-made gems, and they've just added to them this week. So previously we had Brainstormer, Career Guide, Coding Partner, Learning Coach, and Writing Editor. That was it. And they've added in Copy Creator, Outreach Specialist, Sales Pitch Ideator, Sentiment Analyzer, and Hiring Consultant. Now, these are obviously sort of business focused, but these could easily be relevant to school scenarios as well. Hiring Consultant, obviously schools are are hiring people, especially at this time of year, hiring new staff. So you can use this pre-made gem to assist with that process. And then outreach specialist as well. So the outreach specialist, a little bit small there to see, just zoom in, craft personalized messages to potential customers, build relationships, and drive sales, and so on and so on. This outreach specialist could easily be for marketing or admissions teams within schools. And of course, whenever you use one of these pre-made gems, you can actually copy them. You can actually make a copy, and then you can customize, a bit hard because of my zoom here, you can customize these instructions. So rather than a customer outreach specialist, you could say you are a parent outreach specialist. You could customize these instructions and these prompts and make it relevant to you. So additional pre-made gems coming to the Gemini app. Again, that's with a Gemini license. Another update to e-signatures. So e-signatures are available now across Google Docs. And when you add an e-signature to a Google Doc file, it essentially creates a PDF and it then sends out to the end, to the recipients. Well, now you can actually create e-signatures directly on PDF files. So if you have PDF in Google Drive, you can easily request an e-signature directly from the PDF. You don't have to go from a Google Doc to do that. Okay, Google Forms had a great update last week. I think it's long, now that we have this, it's a long needed update. So Google Forms up until now, when you send to recipients, you can restrict your domain or you can open it up for anybody to respond to. Well, with this update, you can now restrict it to specific users, groups, or target audiences. So when you share that Google form out, it obeys basically the same permissions that your other Google Drive files obey as well. So you can share it with users, groups, or target audiences. Okay, this is a good one for getting back to third-party apps. We've been talking about third-party apps for about, well, obviously a long time, but in the last 18 months, Google changed how those need to be approved and so on. And this is another update. It allows granular control over the different scopes which an app has access to. So you can probably just see the little screen grab there. You can control whether it has access to your Drive data, your Gmail data, and other data within Workspace. So that granular data control that's now available. And I think we did mention this in a beta a while ago. I remember talking about this recently. If you have certain policies controlling visibility or shareability of files within Google Drive, the end user maybe doesn't always see why they can't share it or download it. Well, with this, Google's making it much easier to visualize what policy is controlling the visibility of that document. And you can see this, it just pops out in the side panel, and it should make it a lot easier for the end user to understand what DLP policies or what other policies might be impacting that file and the sharing of that file. So it just uncovers a lot of that. Okay, this is a great one. So within Google Chat now, there will be more options for starting a call. So up until now in a Google Chat, got a little video icon just at the top or in a space. I think the video icon is at the bottom. Now they're moving that call icon to the top and enabling an audio-only version of the call. So rather than starting a video meeting, you can start an audio-first call, essentially. I think that's great. If you're on a lot of video calls, sometimes it's great just to have an audio call. And so that's enabled now inside of Google Chat. And they're called huddles, by the way. Okay, so yeah, just talking with Dan a few minutes ago, the Google Gemini mobile app is now available for Google Workspace users. Up until recently, there was only a mobile app for Android. About a month ago, or possibly 2 months ago, the Gemini app rolled out on iOS as well, but it was restricted to personal accounts. Well, now that is available for Workspace accounts. So if you have a Gemini license on your school domain, you can now access the Gemini app under your school account, under your work account, on both iOS and Android. Okay, we don't talk about the Google Meet hardware kits very much, and we actually don't resell any hardware. I just wanted to drop this here because recently I've been at a number of Google Office meetups, and a number of schools have expressed interest in the Google Meet setup. I know I was in Korea a few weeks ago, and a couple of schools were asking Google about that. ASUS has just announced a new hardware kit for Google Meet. In general, having used the Google Meet hardware the last few months a lot, I do have to say it's a very, very reliable solution once it's set up. So I just wanted to drop this here just to share this out. If any schools are interested in conferencing or Google Meet hardware for the school, I could definitely recommend the Google Meet hardware. It is restricted availability though, so you have to check with a local Google hardware vendor if they have the Google Meet hardware available. Okay, a quick update to Google Chat. Google Chat now has the ability to create custom sections. So for example, if as an IT department, you have a number of support chat spaces, for example, you could organize those all into a section. Or perhaps you have different chat conversations with different groups of people. You might want to group your leadership chats into a group, and you can create a custom section for that. So you can just drag and drop chats, move them around, and create those custom sections. The screenshot's a little bit small there to see what's happening, but a lot easier to see it in Google Chat. Okay, we're just talking about, so just a moment ago, I was talking about the smart chips and then building blocks inside of Google Docs. The newest one to launch is task trackers. I don't have access to it yet. I haven't been able to see this yet, so I couldn't demo it. But we can see there just from a couple of the screenshots, a task tracker takes the task smart chip, but creates a whole sort of table from it. So you can create a task tracker. You can assign tasks to people, due dates, and so on. So that's under a building block. So you can use, currently you can use a smart chip to create a task, and now you can use the building block, which you also create using the @ sign and scroll down to the task tracker building block when it's available, and you can build that inside of Google Docs. Okay, quick update to Google Chat. On the web version, you currently can only add single attachments at a time. Now they've made it much easier to upload multiple attachments, up to 20 different multimedia attachments in the single post within Chat. Okay, so Google Meet was announced automatic framing for paid versions of Google, and now that is available to everybody. So the automatic framing centers you inside of Google Meet, and it kind of, if you're off to the side, it will zoom in. I have it disabled at the moment, but if you're off to the side, it will kind of zoom into your face. So that framing option, and a couple of updates to virtual backgrounds as well. These are available to all users within Google Meet now. Okay, another update or another feature for requesting access to third-party apps. Google's now created the ability to essentially whitelist a group of users on your domain who can either request or request on behalf of students different third-party apps. So currently, if you have it enabled, anybody can request access to apps on the domain. Well, this you can restrict or create a whitelist list of users. That's terrible. A whitelist of users who can request access to apps, but they can also do it by proxy on behalf of students as well. What that allows you to do as the admin, it just cleans up the visibility of those lists of requested apps in the admin console. So when I haven't actually been able to see that, I haven't played. Peter, have you played around with this yet? Have you seen this?
It's not launched on any domains yet that I've seen, but no. One reason this is really useful is previously only under 18s could request apps, over 18s couldn't. So now for those schools who are managing their third-party apps more closely, you can have a workflow in place for teachers to request apps either for themselves or on behalf of their class as well. So yeah, much better to have that workflow all built into the admin console rather than tracking that elsewhere. So yeah, really useful updates.
Peter, I think when we get access to this, let's do a demo of this in January when we come back.
Definitely. Yeah, we'll definitely have it by then.
Great. Okay, Google Sheets had a quick update around tables. So tables, if you create a Google form, for example, and you connect it to a spreadsheet, your data is now automatically formatted inside a table. You can also create tables directly in Google Sheets as well. So the tables have received an update on how you can reference data within a table or reference the table itself. Now, why you might want to reference a table, if you've ever used import range. So if you want to import data from one Google Sheet to another, often we use import range to do that. When you import range, you state the tab and the cell range, the reference, the cell references to do that. Now, if you move that data in the underlying sheet, if you move that data in any way, rename the tab, or drag and drop those cells in any way, that will break the import range. If you are using tables to manage your data, when you use import range, you can reference a table, and that will maintain those references. So if you move that table, change the tab, as long as the data is still within inside the table, then it will not break the import range functionality. And so this is all just around improving the table reference experience. But again, there's a good use case is why you might want to use tables to import data, especially if you're using import range. Okay, Google Chat had a quick update. If you receive a notification of a comment or access request, you can directly interact with it within Google Chat. You can respond to the comment, and you can respond to the access request as well. So it could be a share request, or it could be a comment. Gemini was updated inside of Google Docs. So you can actually generate images using Gemini inside of Google Docs. And if you use Gemini to create as well, you can actually create document templates. And often it will create a header image of, just saw the screenshot just then. It can create a header image if you're creating a Google document template. So that's using Gemini inside of Google Documents and bringing in image creation inside Google Docs as well. Okay, you may have seen this already. I've seen this already. This is rolled out. So you can actually, within the home view of Google Chat, if you see a message, a notification, you can actually access it and just open it up on the right-hand side. You don't need to leave the home view. So again, you can respond to messages while in the home view. So you'll see your all of the people you're messaging on your left. You can see that home view with a list of conversations, and then you can see the conversation on the right. You may have seen this rolled out already. This rolled out a few weeks ago for us. And another Gemini update. So now we talked about this before. You can already access Google Calendar from the Gemini Chat app. You can now do that inside of Gmail as well. So you can reference your Google Calendar. You can pull out data from Google Calendar, or you can create events in Google Calendar as well. That's all inside of Gmail. So for example, if you get an email come in asking to set up a meeting, you could stay inside of Gmail, open up Gemini, ask Calendar to set up a meeting, to create that event, to create that calendar event, all within the same interface. And another update for Gemini, in fact, I will just share this. So now within the Gemini chat, so this is under the Gem Manager. So we're already within Gem Manager. This is a custom gem that I've already had built. So what I've got here, I've got the head of school assistant. The purpose is to act as an assistant to the head of school, crafting professional email replies, and so on, all the instructions. Gemini, a few weeks ago, received the update to add knowledge. So just down here, I've added a parent handbook. So here is this knowledge. So I've added this knowledge to this Gemini assistant, to this expert. So now when you use that to respond, in this case, to respond to emails or requests, it will look into any of that knowledge that you've uploaded. You can upload up to 10 files, and the maximum file size is 10 megabytes. So you can easily upload knowledge. You can upload it from Drive. You can upload it from your device. You can upload up to 10 files. And then when you use this, when you ask a question about this, it will reference whatever you've uploaded, whatever knowledge you have here as well. So adding a lot more context to those Gemini assistants. Okay, and that is it for Gemini and for all the Google updates.